Shaboy was good.
Back.
Laying off the lives for now. A little disappointed in the live, guys. Gotta be honest with you. You want the channel to grow. You just want, certain things to come out. Uh, I'm gonna start talking about some of the things in my book because I think it has a lot to do with what I'm gonna be talking about. I was never part of Cosa Nostra, which is La Cosa Nostra. I was never part of the mob. I was never part of the mafia. I never considered myself a gangster. I was a street guy who grew up in the streets, who grew up around street things, who grew up around street guys that just happened to be gangsters, wise guys, so forth and so on. Higher ranking members as well. When you grow up in a neighborhood like that, it's hard not to. And when you're around every day, and that's why I consider myself a street guy and not a gangster, because I was a guy that was around every day. And why I could talk about things that are or have to do with Cosa Nostra is because I witnessed it. Because guys that I was friends with became part of it. And at one point, I wanted to become part of it, be able to become part of it. But that didn't work. And right away, I got typecast because of certain shows I was on as being the mob genre. I'm not. I'm a guy who's telling stories about his life that maybe somebody can get use out of. And you know what? Don't believe it. That's fine. But at least it's a good story with teachable moments. Not like all these other guys that don't give anything teachable except to glorify who they are when they talk about how they're still in the streets. And I have a bad habit, and somebody picked up on it. I'm saying we, but I'm not saying we as in me and I was involved and I was a friend. I just say we when I should just be saying you, me, I, and I know that. But when you're so used to talking a certain way, it's hard to break old habits. One thing at a time. So, my podcast has nothing to do with the mob genre. It will be spoken about because it has to do with the streets I grew up in. Um, Other things. I'm going to be talking about how not only was I on cases for being associated, which I considered being friends with guys who were part of Cosa Nostra and get the shit end of the stick, got a shit deal, however you want to put it. And I did. I did. I was on one of the most infamous and really made no sense organized crime cases for New York State, which you don't see many of those. They have one of the best organized crime units in New York City. OCCIB, OC, and when you plead out, it's not RICO, it's enterprise corruption. I've spoken of these things before on other shows, on my show, just not in a hole like I am today. So, all of my charges since before I was of age have been OC. I don't say RICO because the state has enterprise corruption. They have their own OCCIB, which I don't know if that still exists. But you got to remember, you had TNT, you had auto crime, you had OCCIB, OCCID, anti-crime, all types of units, right? Before 9/11, the the FBI had more guys dedicated to Cosa Nostra than they did to anything else. So that's what we're gonna get into, right? So I know guys come on here and they're made when they were in the life, but they're not giving it to you the right way, and they still talk like us. We're friends. He was a friend. I was a friend. Even when you were made, it wasn't even looked that serious. Because I could tell you this, okay, which I witnessed myself, that I had to step in the middle of. Wise guy gets into a beef in a bar. Couple Spanish kids in there, sold a little drugs, 20 in their 20s. Wise guy's in his 50s. He makes a phone call. He gets 10 guys to come. None of them under the age of 40. Spanish kid makes a few phone calls. Got white kids, Spanish kids, 50 of them with baseball bats, pipes, sticks, probably pistolas. Who knows? Who knows? Right in front of the bar. Let's go. Don't you know? We don't care who they are. That's not our lifestyle. You know, kid says I'm Puerto Rican. Why can't with that? That means nothing to me. All that means is we're gonna give 10 old guys beatings right now. So, yes, powerful in certain ways, but when it came to manpower and pulling up in the streets, Cosa Nostra lost that a long time ago. Now, I'm not saying that I was king shit or no, but the guy who was mentoring me, who was a captain, had a lot of respect in that community. So when I came outside to settle that, they knew that's who I was representing, and they said, "Oh, we didn't know." They used to call me Russo. They didn't know me as Hootie. They didn't know Russo, that he was friends with your guy, that we love him. We would never disrespect him. But these guys, they're pranksters. And, these guys all got back in their cars, went back to their hoods, their corners, their projects. They would have put it on these guys. Wise guys are not. And that's the way it goes. Where's the power? Right? Know what the power is? The power is a guy running a union, a guy owning a business. Other wise guys that own businesses that are strong. But you know what? They don't hold weight to 3 male guys that hold higher positions in the family. And they take that from them. Now, that wise guy might be a legitimate tough guy. But he'll live by the rules, step out of the way, and let them take what they've come to take. And that's why when they tell these stories, it's like I've witnessed so differently. And that's why after 2010, and I hear about people having legitimate sit downs and who was disrespected, and you know what? If you got touched in a situation and you're a wise guy, and you know what, that guy didn't get clipped, then you aren't living by the rules. So I don't want to keep hearing about you had to have a captain present, you had to have this. Well, then you know what? The guy that smacked him or the guy that cracked him, he was supposed to get clipped. Don't tell us about the rules that you want to talk about, like Don Corleone, and this is the way things go, and this happened to be an issue, and this is it's not. You're not. All right. Because I walk up at DC, I'll get 20 guys right now, and they take out all Howard Beach. Bottom line, right? So this is where I always separated myself. I love the guys. I thought of them as brothers. So I was listening to how Cosa Nostra was being run, how they were doing things. And yes, don't get me wrong, some people lived by that. But you could have been the one guy. And I'm talking about the guy out there telling the story now, whoever that person is. I don't know. I'm not picking anybody in particular because I have no issues with nobody. But you got to stop. If you're going to feed them one side, feed them the other side. Yeah, I might have been in that sit down, but the other 3 guys were breaking all the rules. I conducted myself like a gentleman, and a wise guy was considered a gentleman. Okay? So my friend's a captain. Now, he's a full-blown captain, no longer acting. He's playing cards in a club, his club, with a couple guys. And one of the guys playing cards there, that guy's fiance, likes this captain, right? So she shows up at the club. She texts his prepaid. He goes outside. Gets hit off. Some of you call it brain. He gets hit off. This girl stepped out of her fiance's bed, who's inside the club playing cards, where she's supposed to be waiting for him to come home, to hit off a captain who he's playing cards with. Now, that's punishable by death if that's a made guy. No, the rules were you become a captain, you become a made guy, you conduct yourself like one. Because there's a certain guy, passed away now, would have been in his 80s, who started dating or he made a woman a gumara whose husband was a knockaround guy who was doing a lot of time. And he should have been straightened out a very long time ago, and he never was, because he got shunned for that. So now, if that word gets back, that this kid that comes to his club, that plays cards with him, that kisses him hello, that brings him a bottle of wine, that considers him a friend in however or whatever sense it can be in that life, he's a legitimate kid. But, compared, he's not straightened out. So that's like, well, he's not straight. No. The kid thinks you're his friend, and you got his fiance hitting you off, and you're his partner in scholar. Come on, right? But you say, well, you know what? That's the new age guys. They're the guys that ruined it, right? All right, let's rewind. My mentor, in his 70s now, in his 50s at the time, mentored by the best he was. If you walk in a place, or you got a piece of a place, or you hang out in a place, and I've actually wrote about this because this was a girl that I happened to fall in love with. But she was doing right with her life, came from a good family, she was going to school, she was going to become something with her life, and I chased her away from me. She wound up being like one of very few that I actually fell for. So I wanted better for her, and I knew I wasn't it because I knew the route that I was taking. She didn't even understand, and she definitely wouldn't want to be a part of. As much as she wanted to be a part of my life, because she tried so much and couldn't understand why I was pushing her away, because we never had an argument, we never disagreed, there was never jealousy, and that's how I knew I cared about her and I had to let her go. Now, my mentor, who was a captain, knew this. Therefore, it's hands off. One, I'm your friend. You're mentoring me. Not that I'm in the life, but I'm doing you favors. We know each other. We break bread together. We're together every day. And what does that man do? I'm not around one day because this young lady works in a place that we hang out in. He hits on her. He exes her. And she's a young girl for me. So you could only imagine how much of a young girl she was for him. And he kept hitting, kept trying, kept hitting, and didn't get nowhere. She was very hooked on me, and it just had nothing to do with anything but thinking she still had a chance with me, when my whole plan was I wanted her to meet somebody nice, which she did, and I pushed her, and I wanted her to engage in that relationship and just forget about me. Now, I knew I cared about her. I knew I was in love with her. But I knew how to let her go, and I never told her how I felt. She did tell me all the time. Looking back on it, running into her years later when I came home from state prison, I knew the mistake I made. But I also knew, now that she was married and had kids and told me straight out, and I told her I was. I just didn't want her to think, all those years she thought that I pushed her away. It wasn't. It was me pushing her to a better life because she wouldn't have had one with me. Come to find out, the whole time, this man was breaking rules that he learned 50 years before that. That's a no-no. And then when you see the girl tell you that she's with Hootie, and you still pursue it, and pursued it so much that he had a guy around us who was made, that was with another captain but hung out with us, ask me to step away from her for him. So it wasn't just a young guy in a position that did that. It was the old timers as well that were mentored and that were trained and taught by the best. Guys that didn't exist anymore. Guys that would throw back to the Albert Anastasia days, to the Mad Hatter, to Don Carlo. These type of guys. And it happened all over. So when I hear people talk about these rules and these things, right that's one. When you get made, that's one of the that's like the top 5 rules that you call. When you on your wife's giving birth, on your parents' deathbed. Never sleep with a friend's wife. Never sleep with somebody you know's wife. Now I don't know if that rule is still thrown in the ceremony. I've only heard it, but I know another man's wife. Never put your hands on a friend. Never go after a friend's girlfriend or wife or a gumata. You don't. I don't care if it wasn't said during your ceremony. You're with a guy every day. He's driving you around. He's protecting you, making sure you're okay, making sure you're getting home okay. You are doing things together. He is interacting in street stuff for you. You don't do that. And then once the girl tells you, that's the sign to be like, let me back off. Not have a mutual friend of ours who's my age, because I guess he felt that would have been more coming from him. I'd understand it, like, oh, sure, he's, the captain, let me run. And I'm like, no. I said, I was there first, that the rules. If he was hitting on her before I even spoke to her, I'd have to stay away. But he wasn't. I was, but I was only protecting, because at this point, I was no longer seeing this woman. She's already moved on. I just didn't want him, because she was making her life better, and that was only going to make her life worse. So that's just a short, quick, situation that you could see how this works. And then in every family, but I'm only going to speak on the crew that I was with, who was part of it got restructured all the time, and rules changed all the time, right? What was the rule? Deal and die. There's guys that are bosses that got heroin pinches. There's guys that are captains that sell drugs. Before they even changed the rule, deal and die. Because everybody thinks that, that rule died with Don Carlo. It didn't. It went into Paul. And even Senior tried to push it. But he had people around him that committed certain crimes, and when it got restructured, and you got to understand the rest of these families. I mean, the Grim Reaper was acting street boss at one time when the war was going. All he did was get involved in drugs, robbing people, that's drug dealers and whatever. Tommy Karate, boss, whatever he was, captain, May guy, killing people for kilos. You know what I mean? The Mayo crew, killing people for drugs. So it was there even when the rule was in place, deal and die. So what they eventually do, you got a 5-year setback, or you got shelved for 5 years. Meaning, if you got caught selling, you got to get caught selling drugs, you have to lay up for 5 years before you can consider being back around again on record to being straightened out. Guys would get shelved for 5 years, lose their earns, which when a guy gets shelved, you're not supposed to take his earn away, because he's still considered a friend until he's totally out of the life. Now, these are rules. Rules I know firsthand that came from a captain, told to me how it works in the life. All broken, all restructured. And you know what the people were that did it, that finally got people that help put the people in the upper echelon that they got into, persuaded them. Just like politics, one senator wants to pass a bill. He goes and asks 3 senators he doesn't even get along with to vote with him for a favor announced later, and then a bill's passed. Same thing. I get you in this position. Let's get this guy off the shelf. Let's look past this drug dealing. It's just like listen, I use a lot of, and I keep saying listen, I keep saying we, I keep saying that. I'm just trying to get my point across because very disappointed in the views lately. I don't know what you guys are doing. I'm, you know, out here and there's still the haters, but that's okay. That's okay. The next live I do, I'm going to give it one more chance. If I don't see 300 plus, the lives are going. There will be, sit down with Hootie Sundays, Supreme Sunday. So this will be the last video until Sunday. So when these people talk about this is supposed to happen, and this is the way it was, and that's the way, that's the way the rules were structured. That's the way the rules were supposed to be implicated. Right? Into the life, right? Implemented. My apologies. It was supposed to be implemented into the life. It's just today, like listening to some of these stories and these guys get these positive feedback from people, and it's like, listen, go back and listen to what they say. Go back and listen to what's actually happening and realize they're feeding you this information. But I no longer care because I'm making sure that my podcast is pulled out of the mob genre. I do not want to be part of that. I never did. I came into this wanting to work behind the scenes. But the channels that I was trying to help couldn't get off. So I came on, co-host, got the channels off, got spit in my face, left, went back to helping out behind the scenes, never stopped working. And then came on, what was it, April, I started, whatever it was, and giving you guys great content. And I'm going to continue giving you content. I'm going to continue giving you street content. I'm going to give you the first time I was ever scared in my life. And it wasn't the 20 mandatory minimum I was looking at. Because that should just show people when I walked in to take that, and then I jump off the global plea and walk away, and then you want to get labeled. Don't you think I would have did it on the 20? So I'll explain that so people can understand that better. And then I'll explain the first time and only time that I've ever got scared. And it wasn't to do with the time. It wasn't to do with anything. Because when they got me, I didn't have anything going for me. I wasn't looking at such a great life in front of me yet. I was just getting done with parole. It would have been nothing to do the time. And I did time anyway. Just didn't do what they wanted me to do. And then I went back and I looked at the group I was in for the global play. There was only one kid in there that I really had love for. The rest of them I know what I'm sitting here jumping on a global plea. For what? For what? Because I was an associate? Because I was a friend? I wasn't involved. I wasn't committing organized crime acts. All these people that keep saying, oh, you think you're organized crime, you talk like you're a gang. No, I never committed an organized crime act. Okay? Every crime I committed was my crimes and my crimes alone. That's it. That's why you'll be getting the stories of my street life growing up. And a lot of it has to do at a certain part in my life, at an age, I went and tried to be part of Cosa Nostra. Because that's the path that I thought I wanted in the beginning of my life when I was old enough to understand, to think like that. But now all these things that I've learned, I'm able to help people behind the scenes. I'm able to help show you how it's supposed to be done. Because I've seen it, I lived it, I dressed it, I acted it, I spent it, and that's when people say it today. I came home and got a job for $12.65 an hour. And they're like, how? You know how? Because I had the job for $12,000 an hour, figure of speech. I had the cars, I had it all. And an old timer and a wise man told me, you can make it all. When you want to impress somebody, keep it. The hard part isn't making it. The hard part's keeping it. But I got to live. I got to see everything I wanted to see. I bought everything I wanted to buy. I experienced everything I wanted to experience, which has helped me now in my second chance with the second half of my life to do better and become better. There's things I'm doing now that I would never do in the past. But you know what? That's who I am. And I accept that. So coming home and working for $12.65 an hour, breaking my ass, I didn't look at it differently. Other people looking at me going, wow, it's got to be pretty rough. And I'm like, oh. When you were doing this 4 years ago, I was sitting on an island, sipping Mai Tais, without a date to come home. I was walking into the airport, buying a first class ticket on American Airlines to fly to Vegas without luggage, buying my clothes when I got there, jewelry included. Like, I lived how I wanted to live. But I'm not saying that I wasn't smart enough. I just thought, since I wasn't on record, since I hung around guys that I was hanging out with before they were made guys and captains, I would never get picked up in that. Therefore, I would get a run at doing anything I want. But that didn't happen, right? I was telling somebody this today. Like Mike Tyson said, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't even know the depth of this statement, and Gus probably made it. But he gets the credit for it, Mike, when he said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. That could be used so widely in so many situations, from legitimate life to corporate America to selling drugs in the street to bookmaking to any of it, which has to do with earning money in the streets, you know? So, yeah, we all got the plan till the feds knocked down the door. I had the plan. I was going to bob and weave. Bob and weave. I didn't know this guy knew how to throw a side kick. Bang! Where went my plan? I was going to hit him with the jab, fake him with the jab, come with the uppercut, and he side kicked me in my face, and that was it. I'm on the floor face down. Everybody has a plan till you get punched in the face, right? I was going to buy this car. I was going to buy this house. I was going to buy this business. 30%, no questions asked. Didn't need a credit check. That's how it used to be back in the day. And guess what? Some Asian guy came along with a bag full of money, dropped the bag on the table, and a guy who knew half my life took the deal over mine. Had a plan, so I got punched in the face. But it doesn't make a difference how many times you get punched in the face, as long as you stepped up to get punched in the face. Not knowing it was going to happen, but knowing it could. If you can understand that, then you can really start understanding the knowledge and the teachable moments that go on this show. So people could come on and knock it. People could come on and say the show's fake. People could come on and say my stories are fake. But use them because they're good. They're giving you something that nobody else is. So even if you think that it's not real, it didn't happen to me, I didn't live that life, then take it as entertainment. I see a lot of people running around saying, keep your friends closer, your enemies closer. Right? That was something said in The Godfather in the 70s. Who knows when it was written? That's entertainment. So you know what? Take what I'm saying as entertainment then if you need to. I don't mind. Because I'm only here to tell you anything that's going to help you get out of a bad situation. Just like I did. And that's why I tell you these stories. If the guy's 40, if the guy's 70, he's breaking one of the it's a cardinal rule after you get straightened out. We got a piece of a joint. Well, the place is with my mentor. This girl I'm not dating, I'm just seeing her. She's a waitress in a strip club, and we're hanging out. So one night I drop her off at the house, and her mother happens to know my mentor. And I guess she tells you, I was out with, one of so-and-so's friends and guys or whatever they wanted to call us back then. And The next night, the mother's drinking at the bar, and she runs into my mentor and says, "Oh, one of your guys took my daughter out last night. They've been hanging out for a month now. Just just want to look out for her, make sure she's with somebody good. She's dating a street guy. You're trying to look out for her. This is the type of people you're dealing with." So a bulb goes off because the place is with him. What are any of his girls? Did he bang any of them? No. I stood away from the strippers. That wasn't my thing. If I was taking anybody out or hanging out with anybody, it was going to be the waitresses. And they were prettier anyway. So he juices up for information, the old school, slick shit. "Oh, really? Oh, which one? Oh, you really? Oh, I would love to know. Who, so I can make sure to let him know. Look out, she's a friend. Oh, that would be great. I'll find out his name." Whatever she did to get me my name from her daughter. "Oh, his name's Hootie." And at the time, he knows the mother, and he still don't even know who the daughter is. And then he sees the daughter. She was a waitress in the place. Pretty girl, and half his age. And send somebody else to talk to me. And now I sit next to this man in our club on card night to his right every night of the week. And then when we go play at the Red Doors, he sits next to Uncle Pete, and I sit next to him every Saturday. So it's the craziest shit when it comes to women. Now, he didn't even have any idea about this woman's daughter, and he was banging the woman for years, who's, the mother. Now, he wants the daughter. 9,000 girls in the place. "Oh, what are you doing? This is his joint," which we helped him take over. So, his joint, no longer ours. Not in money-wise, but our crew. "You should have asked permission to date somebody that works there. You should bang in strippers 4 at a time in the back room. I take a waitress out and use it throwing a fit." Well, by this time, it was like the 7th waitress. So he's getting word. This one's got a problem. That one got a problem. That girl argued with that girl. The manager's like, "Yeah, I really don't want to say nothing. But all these girls have been arguing and fighting because Hootie's been in here taking them out, dating them." So then that was an excuse. Listen, the joints we got, the staff is off limit. The strippers, is money. Do whatever you want. And that was his way of making me back off. Because on an unannounced night, when he had somebody else driving him in, I go up there one night for somebody else. And who's sitting in the champagne room? Who's sitting in the VIP? Him. With the champagne that he doesn't even drink. Like, whining and dining with her. Now, she's in awe, because they're all obsessed with that life. That's the reason why they work in these places. And he winds up banging the mother and the daughter. Me, I didn't care. That was the last night I was going to see her anyway. I was done with her. That's just how it goes. But there you go. Breaking his own rules. Right? And he's 70-something today. So, when people get on and they talk, and now this is a person that knows the rules better than anybody I've ever heard. All these made guys can talk. Sammy can talk. This one can talk. He knew it backwards and forwards. Old school, from the ground up, Cosa Nostra. Learning from the best. The best. So, to me, it's like, I'm seeing it from the outside, and I'm seeing it from the inside. So when we go to these sit-downs and I'm hearing respect the dog for its master, you can't go into a place like that, start dating anybody without my permission because the joint's with me. Oh, it's not our place anymore. The joint's just with you. You went up in there, bulletproofed up, strapped up, and got the place, right? Okay. No problem. I don't want the call anymore. And you know what? It saved me because I hated going to strip clubs, and then I never went back. Done. No matter how many they had, no matter what they had to do, I was off the list. Gladly. Because Hootie hits on the staff too much. No, Hootie was taking out too many of the staff. So that's not a bragging story. That's telling you how these guys are. From a young girl going to school to become something who I've been talking to, which I wasn't talking to anymore, but I knew the life wasn't for her. So I ended it and broke it off and walked away from it for nobody else in that life to go along and try to ruin this poor girl's life because they were just looking for a piece of ass. So I looked out for her and said, no, the rules are the rules. I've been dating with her, I've been with her, we got something serious, stay away from her. That was it. And you can't talk to a captain like that. You got to speak it in the right way. He's not going to like it. He's got to respect it. Curse me afterwards. Flash in the pan. Then that's all. Flash in the pan. Smoke and mirrors. These are sayings that people would use in the life to guys they knew, but deep down inside didn't like, but had good earnings. That were in good with the conciliere. That was good with the underboss or the street boss. And that's, what are you worried about that guy for? It was like the part in The Godfather, when 3, that nobody likes, when Michael's telling, Andy Garcia, well, Joey Zaza, he's a nobody, he's a too big punk. What do you care? Like, come on. Like, what are you talking about this guy for? We got deals and buildings and casinos worth billions of dollars. This guy's a street corner thug, purse snatcher kind of, so that's how it was. But in the movie they made it where Michael meant it seriously, where in all actuality the captain would make guys jealous, so he'll call that guy, this guy's a flash in the pan. That means it's all look and nothing else. There's nothing to back it up. Smoke and mirrors. Whatever he's talking about, it's an illusion and it'll be gone soon and he'll be gone soon. So things like that start happening. And we'll get more into that. Because like I said, I'm not podcasting in the mob genre. I'm going into my own lane, which is talking about my life, my experiences, growing up in the streets, and being involved in Cosa Nostra in some way. And there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff, just like this story tonight. Something solid. If you didn't get 10 teachable moments out of this episode now, that's been 37 minutes long, then all you want to hear is about how many times guys got clipped, this guy got clipped, how this guy, that happened. You go watch a movie, because that's not how it happens. This is what happens every day. How I told you when we walked into places, or when we went away, or a Friday night at Rails, or when I'll get into Atlantic City for Labor Day. I'm going to get into the Super Bowl in Tampa. I'm going to get into jail and how people wanted to manipulate the global plea to get themselves lower time because they had the money to do it with the lawyers and the influence. I'm going to get into all of that because that all had to do with being in the streets. That all had to do with, making money, being involved in Cosa Nostra, being involved in other things. And I'm going to get into it all. And you're going to love it. So I hope you appreciate this episode. I hope you caught the teachable moments. It's for that guy out there that's got his, 1 foot in and 1 foot out, or got both feet in and has no idea what he's getting himself into. Become smoke and mirrors. Become a flash in the pan and get out. I should have took those signs and a lot of other signs and just stopped hanging out because I wasn't in. I was just a friend. Wasn't even an associate. Was never on record. And that's why my podcast will be about just the street guy growing up in the streets. And in 38 plus years, you see a lot of things. And being an Italian and growing up around all my Italian friends that did go that route became made guys, and that was our crew before they were, and we stood that crew. You were, privy to a lot of information. And you would trust. Because you did favors. And that's how I got wrapped up. Association. I'm nobody special. You go look me up. Yes, I'm on all the big indictments with the big names. That ain't phony. And if you do want to know who told on who did this, all these bullshit stories I hear, which will be Sit Down Sundays with Hootie, I'm going to give you one of those because I actually led somebody to Jerry Capisi's article that he wrote the court minutes word for word, but verbatim, word for word, what was said at the sentencing. And people try to change history. People try to change the past. Because when you change the past, it changes tomorrow. It changes who I am right now telling this story. If you convince somebody my past wasn't my past. And that's not going to happen. You don't need to go to federal court. I just went on and looked for the first time because I don't read or watch podcasts. I read, but I don't read Jerry Capisi's site, and I don't watch podcasts. So I went on and actually said, wow, because I know he sits in the second row. He sits in the first row of sentencing and trials. And he gives you word for word what is said. You don't even need to go into federal court and get the paperwork. He reports it every week. I had no idea because I never read it. But I went back and read the minutes of the guys that copped out on my case and sent it to this young man. And this young man, well, this older man, told me he's got the greatest source. They know what they're talking about. But Jerry Capisi don't, who wrote down the minutes from the court stenographer was writing that happened at sentencing, but his source knows more. No. You can put the date in, the person's name, and they'll tell you exactly what they did. I'm in one article, and that article doesn't say anything about anything except me jumping off a global plea. That's it. And that's what I happen to find out today. And that's why I know now that I got to stop it, which I knew before, of being considered part of the mob genre. I'm not. I'm part of my own lane. And then hopefully, with all the work I'm doing behind the scenes, that's where I finally end up. If you come on, if the subscribers get to it, it's growing too slow, people. I do want to help people, but I'm helping much more behind the scenes. The channel's not growing. The views aren't growing. The stories I'm comparing, nobody tells it. Nobody can speak. No one can say the proper words. And even if I say a word fast and I say it wrong, I stop myself and say the word correctly. They don't even know. Put closed caption on to every one of these guys and listen to them. One, some of them take an hour to get out a paragraph. Two, Michael Corleone. Others just say whatever comes out of their mouth and don't correct it whatsoever. And it looks like gibberish at the bottom of the screen. It's insane. I'm not going to be a part of that. So I want to make sure people know, which I wasn't part of the mob genre. I created my channels. Nobody helped me. I thought people did when they didn't. I never got promotion. Never got promoted. I never got shout outs. I never got go look at his new channel. Go watch his new, from nobody. So me over here thinking people did, nobody did but Hootie. I've helped their name, which I no longer do. It's the Hootie platform. You already know that Gene Brullo is my friend. I will have his back till the end. He's on house arrest. Nothing I can do about that now. And he can't, as you know, I'll say it again, put on a new channel. He can only use a channel that existed before his violation. So until he can get that channel up and running, wherever he is, he can't put the videos back up. But he will, as soon as he can get his channel working. And that's who I stand by. Other than that, it's the Hootie Social Club. As well as Belle Tells is still on the Hootie platform. She's been there since the first time I put her on, and she never left. Contrary to what people want to think and say, she's been there, she's never left. And as everybody knows, Sonova Cantrell never believed the rumors, the lies. We record and talk every day for true crime, as well as my book. So if any of it was true, she'd be long gone, because she's a lady who don't get involved in the BS. And she knew what BS was BS. And she was one of the few. So, not saying she's on my platform, she has her own. We collab together on the True Justice, True Crimes, and Belle Tells will always be a part of the Hootie Social Club. Don't know where it's going to end up. It looks like Bushwick. And my man, you hit me up. I got you. I know you got storefronts for me there. But right now, this is all pro bono. No money in it. We got to get the subscribers up. We got to get the hats sold. Send the addresses in. $45 with delivery. And then we'll get the t-shirts. And they'll probably be less than that. But we got to sell the hats that they sent me by mistake, an extra 50, and then we could get the t-shirts. I gave all the other merch away for free. So there is no money for the new merch. And as you know, I don't come out of pocket anymore because of all the money I'm in the red for already. For once, somebody's got me upside down. Listen, people, support the channel. I'm going to put the links in the bottom. Get over to the account, brooklynqueens@icloud.com. Drop your name, your message, the 45. You'll get the hat sent out to you. And then we'll get the t-shirts in. Like, subscribe. I've never said that before. They're telling me I got to start talking like that. Since I'm not on the mob genre, I got to let you guys know this is the Hootie genre. Hootie's platform is the Hootie Social Club, which will be discussing that. I'm not like these guys who were made, or these guys that were around it as much as they were. I was around it. I know the rules. I gotten them, but I was never on record, not even as an associate. So I can't claim it. But I can claim that I was in the streets for 38 years and watched and seen and participated in what went on. So go back and listen. Find a teachable moment in any one of these people that tell you they're out there helping. Go back and watch mine and say, oh, wow, I caught that. Oh, wow, he went back and said the right word. Now that word makes sense to me. You're not getting that anywhere else. So, jump on here. Make up the accounts. And I know, because now that I can see since I'm monetized, there's 7,000 of you out there watching this show that don't subscribe. Let's break this. Let's break this. We're going into the Hootie Social Club genre. That's it. Not that we're going into it. I've been into it the whole time. It's just that people were categorizing me by putting me in that. And I'm over here thinking certain people helped me in that when they didn't. I only think they know that my name ends in an IE. So, because they never mentioned it. Nobody. So, me, I know. Bell's on the Hootie Social Club. Me and Sonova collab. Gene's my boy. I'll update you and let you know what's going on with him. He's good. Want to get his channel up and running again. Supporters, they're out there. The Andy A27s, the Bells, on day one. Well, after JCM Cali out west, we're cool. Watch some of them videos you guys are posting, which we'll be getting those videos back. You know, we're all good. I'm all good with everybody else, but we know that we're all good. And wasn't a ploy, it wasn't anything. It was something that happened. Guys came, to realization it was stupid. We were older. Olive branches were sent out. I've accepted. I've sent some out. They were accepted. Some weren't. What are you going to do? That's what these guys do. And that's it for tonight. Stay up and